Hi, this is Edward here, and you're watching the Hong Kong Premium Challenge on 18th of September last week. And you're watching the final match of the games. On the left hand side, we have Kwok Yin, and on the right hand side, we have Cheung Yin. Kwok Yin has a team of Kyogres and Dialgas, with two Megas, including Kangaskhan and Salamence. Two supplementary Pokemons, including Scrafty and Crobat here. On the other hand, Cheung Yin has the X-Ray Xerneas Rayquaza teams with Gengar, Scrafty, Smeagol, and Seismitoad. It's quite interesting to see both sides have the Scrafty here. And Scrafty is quite crucial here because Scrafty can do a very high damage to the opposite side too. The Gengar is threatened by the Scrafty and of Churn's side, and the Scrafty on Churn's side indeed has a slight advantage over the Quad because the Dialgas and also the Kangaskhan themselves. But as we saw from the videos, the battle videos of top 4s from Cheung has a Scarf Smeagol here. So how does Kwok deal with the Scarf Smeagol determines how the match goes. And here in the final match, so the competitors are competing not only for the glories of winning the Premium Challenge, they are also competing for 1,000 Hong Kong dollars shopping coupons sponsored from the shopping malls that we are holding the tournaments, which is approximately equals to the 128 US dollars. So we see the lead from both sides, with Kwok leading Kangaskhan and Crobat against Cheung, Smeagol, and Xerneas. Crobat serves here as a very good counter lead against both Cheung's Pokemon because he has Taunt, he has Tailwind, we possibly has the Long Berry to dodge the Dark Void, and maybe even the the Mist from the Crobat, which could which could cancel out the boost from the Xerneas. It seems Kwok has determined his command very fast, while Cheung is still making his choices of moves, and we'll see the Kangaskhan Mega Evolving here. We see the Fake Out onto the Smeagol, well, doing quite a lot of damage. So, Tailwind from the Crobat. Okay. And we see a Geomancy. No taunts from the Crobat. So, even after the Geomancy, thanks to the Tailwind, both Kwok's Pokemon is faster than Cheung's, Xerneas, and Smeagol. So, what will Kwok do this turn with his speed advantage? Oh, Cheung retrieve his Smeagol into Scrafty, and using the Intimidate ability to lower both attacks. Oh, Crobat used the haste to cancel all the stat changes on both sides, including the Intimidate, which coming out from the Scrafties. So the Double Edge does a full damage on the Scrafty on its activating, the eject button. What would Cheung switch into? Smeagol? Yes, it's Smeagol. We'll see the Smeagol here and the Moonblast, hoping to knock out the Kangaskhan when it's boosted, but unfortunately, due to the haze, it couldn't knock out the Kangaskhan with one hit. So Crobat has revealed two attacks, two moves. One, the haze, and also the tailwind. Is that possible that Quok's Crobat still have the taunts here? Or some other moves that would make him even more advantageous against Cheung. So Cheung continues to retrieve his Pokemon and brings out the Scrafty once again, hoping the drop of the attack would help him. So Kangaskhan reveals the attack. Wow, and Cernis protects again. Also protects, and we'll see a taunt from the Crobat. Not quite useful to Scrafty, because usually Scrafty doesn't have many Kangaskhan retreated, hoping to reset the attack stats and fake out. And the Kyogre is coming in. Primordial Seeds brings the ring to the ground. You see a fake out from Cheung's Scrafties onto the Kyogres. And a Super Fan, the fourth move, has revealed it. And Dazzling Gleam without any boost, it could only do a very minimal damage to both Quok's Pokemon because Kyogre has a very high stat of special defense, while Crobat has a poison type, which is resistance to the very type Dazzling Gleam. So the advantage still on Quok's side because Kyogre's, without any answer to the Kyogre's, Cheung must receive a massive damage from the Kyogre. That's a problem of using. Alright, we see another Protect from the Cernis. And Kyogre also protects, hoping to dodge the attack. Oh, it's because it would use the Crobat to use a Tailwind once again to bring the advantage to Quok's Kyogres. And we see a knockout from Scrafty, knocking out Crobat's item, Non-Berry. So Quok's Crobat has revealed all of his moves and items, and see if Cheung could make use of it and bringing the advantage to this game and next game. So under the Tailwind, Cheung choose to switch out Scrafty into a Quasar, hoping the Alox could reducing the damage. But a Super Fan onto Cernis and a Water Spout, full of very powerful Water Spouts from the Kyogres, knocked out the Cernis and makes around 30% of the damage on the Rayquazas of Cheung. So we do see the Scrafty moving in and out, and this should be the third time that it comes to the field. The Intimidate doesn't do any good doesn't bring any advantage to Cheung this time because all the physical attackers are on the back of the stage. Of course, side. There are still two runs from tailwind. And could Cheung really survive these tailwind? Or could he possibly make use of the fake out pressures from the Scrafty? So Mega evolving, see to down the stream once again, and Kyogre used Protect, not hoping to receive any damage from the Scrafties. And we'll see the taunt from the Crobat. And Sword Dance was stopped by the taunt. Why? Cheung was playing very risky this time, hoping that Rayquaza could boost its attack with the help of the fake outs, but Kwok correctly predicting this attack and bring in Dialga, and Dialga could ward the attacks effectively, especially this extreme speed, which only did around 20 something HP to it. And the Ice Beam knocked out the Rayquaza. So this shouldn't be a problem for Kwok. Kwok should be winning game 1 without any doubt. Dialga finally makes his appearance, and Dialga is quite good to ward both Cheung's Pokemons, but we do see a Scarf Smeagol using the Dark Void, hoping the sleep turns would bring the Scrafty actively working some kind of drain. Oh, but this low kick, though is super effective, it could not knock out the Dialga with one hit. If the Scrafty was using the Drain Punch, I still think that there are some certain kind of chances for Cheung. But unfortunately, there's a low kick, so yeah, that should be the game. Dialga continues to sleep, and Kyogre also continues to sleep. And we'll see a knockoff onto the Dialga, knocking out the Dialga and revealing the adamant of the Dialga. But Kwok still have the Kangaskhan to give the fake out pressures onto the Smeagol and also the Scrafty. And Smeagol shouldn't be able to survive this fake out from the Kangaskhan. But Kwok is utilizing his time to think about the next round, probably. So we do see the Kangaskhan here. We would be expecting a fake out onto the Smeagol and hoping the Kyogre would wake up and attack the Scrafties of Cheung's side. Both Kwok and Cheung was qualified for the day ones of WCS 2016, but they didn't appear in the tournament. They are, of course, the top-notch players in Hong Kong. We do hope that they could beat the best players in the world next year. So the Calgary woke up and scored into the Smigels. So that's the game one. And Kwok won it quite easily with the Korbat and Kangaskhan lead against the Scarfed Smigels and the Xerneas in it. So are we able to see the seismic toe to make its appearance? I do hope so. But the final decisions lies on Cheung. So once again, you're now watching the final match of the Premium Challenge in Hong Kong on 18th September. On the left hand side we have Kwok Yin Ivans, and the right hand side we have Cheung Yin. Kwok Yin was using a team with Calder and Diagas, featuring the usual Duo Mega and Crobat and Scrafties here. And Cheung Yi was using Xerneas Rayquaza teams with Gengar, Scrafty, Smeagol, and a very interesting size with toes. So both players choose very carefully on the Pokemons, and we're expecting to see a very good match between the very top players in Hong Kong. So here we go, the second game of the finals of the Hong Kong Premium Challenge. So Kangaskhan and Crobat still from the Kwok's side, and still Smeagol Xerneas here. It didn't change. Both lead the same Pokemon this time. So, will history repeat? No, Smeagol was retreated, with Scrafty springing onto the field, giving out the Intimidate. We see the Kangaskhan Mega evolving, and a fake out onto the Scrafty, activating the eject buttons. It seems that Cheung has a plan on what to do next. Maybe he's bringing back the Smeagol this time. Yes, we see the Smeagol once again, and the tailwind comes out. We see the Geomancy? No, we see the Moonblast onto the Kangaskhan. So the advantage still, I couldn't say Kwok has a superior advantage against Cheung because his Xerneas, his Kangaskhan was being threatened by the Moonblast of the Xerneas this time. And Smeagol itself still has the chance of using a fake out onto the Kangaskhan to prevent any damage from the Kangaskhan. Will Cheung's plans works as it hopes? Or some kind of correct predictions from Kwok's side? Alright, Cheung switch back to Smeagol. Switch the Smeagol's back to Scrafties. And the second Intimidates fire off. And Superfan coming onto the Cernius. And we'll see the double edge. Oh, still on the Scrafties slot, the Smeagol slot. And the Moon Blast knocked out the Kangaskhan. Makes Cheung advantage just in terms of number of Pokemons and its movement. But remember, there are still 2 turns of Tailwinds here. But Scrafties can still give out the fake out pressures onto the Kyogres that's coming in. So Primordial C. Where Cheung continues to fake out into the Kyogre slot and let Xerneas to attack without any boosting. It would be quite an interesting match here. So it seems Kwok had chose his commands, while Cheung is still doing some pickings. Where Cheung able to snatch the final turn of the Tailwind of Kwok's side to use the Geomancy here, but we see the fake out onto the Kyogres, flinching it, and the taunt onto Xerneas. Oh god, Geomancy, we see the winning post from Kwok. He correctly predicts the Geomancy from the Xerneas here. So Geomancy is not into 2 attacking moves, including Moon Blast and Dazzling Gleams. So Kyogre could do anything here. Either Water Spouts or the Origin Pulse may knock out the Xerneas. Well, with the additions of Superfans, a dual knocked out, double knocked out for Kwok here. So, with the Tailwind ends here, but the Crobat is still very healthy. And not to mention that the non-barrier is still intact. So a Tailwind here could maybe, it's quite possible for Kwok's side, a Tailwind Protect Plate to ensure that the Crobat to lock the Smeagol's away from this Dark Void. So once again, we can see that Kwok chose his command very quickly. Where we see a Protect, Tailwind Plate, or some kind of creative plate from Cheung's side. Or maybe we could see something like taunts into a sword dance. We shall see. Rayquaza Mega Evolving, giving out the down the stream, and we see the protect from the Kyogres. And transform into the Kyogre. Primordial Seeds. Wow, what an interesting play, but Tailwind's goal still goes as scheduled, and the Dragon ascends into the Crobat. Will it able to knock it out? No, Crobat denies it with 21 HP here. The Crobat now is threatening by the extreme speed. And the Scarf Smeagol has turned into the Kyogre, and Cheung must choose the move you're going to use on this transformed Kyogre. And we'll see the Water Spout from Kwok's side. Oh, making a massive damage onto the Rayquaza, because Rayquaza has just used a Dragon Ascent onto the Crobat. And the last Pokemon, of course, is Dialgas. Dialgas can resist both the Water type attacks, the Flying type attacks, and extreme speed from the Rayquaza and the Kyogre of Cheung's size. So it is possible to knock out Dialga with some kind of critical Dragon Ascent and Water Spout critical hit, but still, Kwok, with a promising performance, should be able to win the final here. And we'll see the extreme speed onto the Kyogres. Not doing enough damage. Wow, the Dragon Pulse onto the Smeagol, and the final Water Spout should be able to knock out the Rayquaza here. Okay, Smeagol with the very minimal damage here, because Water Spout didn't do any damage anymore with this HP status. So congratulations to Kwok for winning the first Premium Challenge of Hong Kong in the 2017 seasons. So we'll see you in next week. We'll have another Premium Challenge here in Hong Kong on 24th of September. See you!